Grizzco Splatana is an illegally modified Splatana stamper. It is slower and stronger, if you will, and apparently we cannot even show our face. That is how cool we are when we have this thing. Like standard pose. That's the same with the swords as well. Anyway, it's 200 damage per slash. Amounts to 400 damage per second flat. You just get 2 of these per second. For ink tank you get, I've counted that it's like 33. Don't know if that's accurate, but I mean could be there are a lot of 3s in this game. This is how the paint works. It pretty much paints exactly your feet. And if you like combine that with jump, then that is pretty much how your mobility works with this. You can show off wall paint as well, but there's not much to show off because it like barely exists. This is pretty much the worst wall paint in the game. If you do like a charged slash like this, but because it's not really better because it takes forever to charge that up. Of charged slashes, there are just like with the regular swords 2 ways to use them. You can stand still and then you're just slashing something in place. You can jump. You can also do is not this, but hold forward and then you get this. It's like not quite as long as you sometimes wish it would be, but this is actually pretty longish with it. And it also has implemented some auto-targeting. It's like not consistent anything like with round things like Drizzlers or still hits. Sometimes you can still just barely miss them. I'm not quite sure how that happened. But ideally you should still aim at whatever you actually wanna hit and then really hit it. I should demonstrate it from this ledge right here. Like right there. How you hit that, and that is how you can hit flyfish as well. So yes, this move has armor piercing. The tabs do not, only the charge has. Yeah, so if you have like a ground for flyfish, then you can kill them with a dash. And if you don't have that, you can like just stand under them. I'm gonna demonstrate it on this dummy here. Then jump up and get them. That is how you can get flappers as well if you like don't feel like painting the zone. I mean, you can paint the zone just by doing this here. But if you like have the time to actually kill it, then sure, why not? It's like not actually slower. Oh yeah, and let's talk about the ink usage slash as well. Like roughly this here. A little bit under 7 that you could do. I mean, not that you would ever wanna do that. But another thing about usage here. Coming here. We do have some ink recovery delay here. I cannot tell you how many frames it is. Like it's less than a second, I believe, but still that's very much notable. Comparable to split links, I'd say. If you know how it is with split links, it's the same with this. Luckily, this thing is actually quite ink efficient. In a way, this weapon can be compared to Grizzco Slash, except it doesn't have range and it's much better at dealing with this because it doesn't have to use 25% of its ink for one shot. Definitely the main thing it does, the lessers. And it's also, of course, like one of the best bosses in the server, just needs to get close to them. Yeah, 1200 damage out of the charge slash. I cannot even show that here because there's that up on the display here. One shots, big shots, one shots, Mars. You can kill scrappers in front. However, it's not always safe. Like, if you wanna do that, make sure that you are safe, and if there are other things happening, then just tap them like 3 times for the armor, then 3 times again for the tail. Just a little bit slower, but a lot of safer because you do not get knocked in place while getting attacked by other things. Same thing with eel, of course. The wall is always dangerous. Don't bother with charging at them, just tap them 3 times. Stinger, I'm not quite sure what the charge does. But I would guess it does not one shot, so what I usually do is just get close to them and turn down. Which would also again get the lessers that are likely gonna farming them well. I'm not losing any them and dying. So yeah, in a nutshell, really use the charged slash only wisely. It's not normal to literally spend health. Whole wave's not using it at all. Like even for Mars, yes, you can one-shot them with a charged slash, but sometimes you just wanna bump them or just have them, especially when someone else is also shooting them. Because you're still gonna have stuff. Usually I bump them, it's completely fine. You do have 10 slashes after a bomb with this. Definitely enough to like clear space for yourself and then refill the thing. The bombs are not a problem with this thing. However, what is a problem is fish sticks. There is actually a way for this to like paint a fish stick while get up on it, which is like you do like exactly this thing, you charged slash and jump that. Search up. Or you would climb a fish stick and then you just hit it from off like tabs. Or any high ground that you might have on like the level up there is actually high enough. I think the only thing that comes to mind here is the Sokai Spiral, of course. Not sure if there's anything like that on another map. We bay low tide being up on the map for one of the fish sticks, but it's the same, I'm not sure. Yeah, fish sticks are a problem for this, so non-Grizzco Splatana weapons and whatever comp that you have, you still with fish sticks. Even if you're bad at it, you're probably still better than this thing. So, like even if you have to climb a slot, just do it, or at least paint the damn thing. That would work too. Like if someone else paints it for this, then this can at least get up easily and finish it from there. That would also be fine. Like, just be nice to each other and, like, do what you can for the fish sticks. It helps so much. And another thing that I should mention for fish sticks is you, like, have to move around them and they're not getting dealt with this thing. Like, they're gonna paint quite a wide radius around them, as you might be very well aware of. You get, like, you're very close to them. Like... this tiny circle around them, that is where they do not paint. That is where you can like always have your own paint. You can like hop into that, like heal, refill and stuff, and hop out of that. And even with a slash as well, you might get lucky and actually have under you so that you can jump out of that again. And then also the fish stick also does give you like some cover from some attacks as well. That's good defensive positioning if you do. And then of course another thing about the piercing, they still had one circle is like, you can do this but only from high ground of course. If you had low ground then just charge up the full thing and fill it through its armor. That's also how you typically wanna cut Drizzlers, like as we know with the swords, the slashes are wonky and you'd need 5 slashes, which takes a while. But for this it's very much worth actually just charging and that way. Just make sure that you're close enough, and if you're not close enough to aim at them. You're right, and another thing I should mention about the dash is you actually need to have a clear shot, if you will. Like if lessers are getting in the way, then you're just gonna hit the lessers and not the bosses. Or you're gonna go past the lessers and the lessers are gonna hit you in the back and likely kill you then. So really make sure that everything is clear when you're going for like this enemy strike there. It's really not safe at all, it's like more fancy than actually great. Use it wisely, cannot say it often enough. And finally big shot, I mean, it's obvious, you're one-shotting the thing, goes charge up. And if you cannot charge because there's other stuff around it, that's fine, just that and 6 tips and it's down, no biggie. We have options there. Alright, that brings us to Night Waves. Night Waves are interesting to talk about with this, of course. First up is Gorillas. Charged Slash. Do need to be close to Gorillas. If you have like a ledge like on Sakai, that helps to get it right. Like the top of the ramp and Bay, not sure to describe it, like the edge of the center block. Stuff like that, something where the gorilla just passes by. That is like the safest. But even if you don't have that, as long as it's made sure that small frays are not like bothering you or anything, you can still actually hit a gorilla that is charging straight at you. Doesn't get it stunned and possibly even killed. I do not quite fully understand how the hitboxes work or anything, but you can actually one-shot gorillas with this too. I believe it's not consistent. Like you need to be close enough, but too close you would of course die as well. And don't use the dash ever, just stand still. And hit the knife with a stand still charge slash. Then of course, as it turns out, this is also really good small fray weapons, naturally. If you have 2 of these gorilla waves, what you then might want to consider is for one of them to deal with small frays and for the other to deal with the gorilla specifically. So the other weapons to really run X and stuff, and that should cover a whole lot. Of course, people being targeted might change something, so pay attention to that too. Anyway, that is the basic gist of it all. This weapon is really broken for gorillas and gonna set many records just like the Grizzco Slasher. Not sure which one is actually better. The Grizzco Slasher can control it better because it can stun them at range and early and stuff. Not quite as easy with this thing just builds a little bit faster. Not exactly clear which one was better. We will learn it years, I guess. We'll get the better records. Right, next up, Goldie Seeking. Don't really bother with a charged slash there. You can do it one time when the Goldie is like coming down from the Gasha, but still not a fan. Like you might over damage, let's say you lose neck drop anything. Can maybe still do like this when it's sitting on top of the Gasha. Anyway, when it's coming down, just like walk in front of it. You can get pushed by it, like all weapons can serve the Goldie pretty much, as I like to call it. But then just give him the 400 DPS, it's wrong at 7 most shooters. If you don't lose it, the Goldie is hopefully gonna... I guess the others are shooting it as well. And of course during downtimes, make sure to clean up lessers as well. You're likely the best weapon for it. That brings us to Mudmoth and Tornado. Again for those as well, clear up lessers, mainly Cohogs. For Mudmoth specifically, what you could consider is really to just do Cohogs and the smaller lessers to another weapon. So that you don't have too much there and you can alternate with throwing X. Just makes the whole comp more flexible if you handle it like that. Prioritize Cohogs, and when there are no Cohogs around, do whatever like throw extra bombs. If there's really no one dealing with smaller lessers, then of course you can deal with those as well. Cohogs are the most important thing to answer for sure. Then Tornado, pretty obvious. Just get other lessers, keep them away from the team that are juggling the X. Again, if there are multiple, just do it with one of them and handle X as normal. Nothing too crazy there. Rush, this thing is pretty much comparable to Sploosh. You can go up ahead and filter a bunch. Actually does it slightly better if you can extend the side. Also make sure to get like back into safety before it changes. Because if it changes into you, then treating might be a little bit hard. Then what you can also do, and likely should do when he comes, just stay back and protect the targeted player from goalies and other stragglers. Yeah, pretty much can do it all in rush, but the range is short and the vulnerability is high because range is short, and sometimes things might also get through your hitboxes alive if like the filtering is not good. So the general for rush with any weapon comes ever, the better the filtering is, the easier it is to actually defend people or yourself or whatever. Because problems arise typically from many enemies at the arriving the line. Yeah, that's much everything for rush. Finally, there's Mothership. This thing, of course, is absolutely awful for Mothership. Really just focus running X and hope you get a comp that actually change things. Might also use bumps to like find that. This is not a good Mothership weapon, I'm just like how it is. Like Ink Brush is probably better because it has at least the swim speed. And yeah, that is pretty much. Oh yeah, right, King Salmonids. Let's talk about King Salmonids as well. Where you wanna deal with King Salmonids is mainly like ignore the King Salmonids for the most part. Just kill their kill bosses. Use God Nicks, throw God Nicks at the King when you're sitting on like a pile. Don't need to hit like the Horrorboros cycle. But like this thing where you actually go up to the King and attack him anything. I mean, you can do it with Kazuna if you have no other weapon to do that, then like fine, but the range is still really short and it takes an hit. Like, I wouldn't prioritize it super highly. This isn't. It does not have sploosh DPS or anything. It's something you can do when you're close. Focus on control, I'd say. But yeah, now we are really done here. This is thing. But this thing.